Are you guys ready for this fall list?
Oh!
It's gonna be lit, no question. 2018 top 10 fall list for men coming right now. Let's go. What's going on YouTube? I'm that clone guy E, and this is Simply Put Scents. On this channel, I talk about some of the best and worst fragrances on the market today, and simply put, my goal is to help you save time and money. So do hit that subscribe button because I do these videos weekly and I love what I do. So guys, this is my fall top 10 list for 2018.
The best of the best, and to hell with the rest, yeah.
Every year I do these seasonal lists and it gets harder and harder because I keep getting exposed to great scents all the time, and ranking and comparing new fragrance to fragrances on my past list always creates a new challenge. And I'm always up for the challenge, but to be honest with you, the really cool part about all that is that I make lists with very little filler, actually no filler. I honestly feel like every fragrance on this list could easily be #1 to someone out there. And there's always a lot of thought was put into it, so let's go. Number 10. From the house of Banana Republic, Oud Mosaic. If I had to describe this fragrance in 3 words, Oud Palau Alternative. If any of you are fans of Diptyque, you know Oud Palau is one of their best fragrances, especially for guys. It's a very fresh oud scent with rose as a main co-star along with oud. With Oud Mosaic though, what surprised me was the quality of the oud. I mean, it is synthetic, but it smells so real. There are niche brands with inferior oud notes selling for 5 times the price of Oud Mosaic. If you prefer your oud scents to have some character without being too aggressive, Oud Mosaic is a great option. It won't choke out the room you walk into, but it lingers and the oud actually has depth. Number 9, from the house of Calvin Klein, Obsessed for Men, Intense. Calvin Klein is known for making very easy to like, uncomplicated, mass appealing, androgynous fragrances that tend to be on the light, breezy side. The original Obsessed was very much in line with that aesthetic. Don't get me wrong though, I found it interesting for a Calvin Klein freshie. However, Obsessed Intense was not the typical over-chemical freshie you may be used to from Calvin. Obsessed was a very unique, unisex, fruity smelling scent with a tropical style. Obsessed Intense starts off in a very similar way as the original, but as soon as those pretty boy top notes dry down, the much more dense woody base begins to take over. Obsessed Intense smells a lot like Gucci Intense Oud and Black Afghano by Nasomato. It's the most inferior in terms of quality of the 3, however, it's definitely the most mainstream and likable of the trio. In 3 words, I would describe this fragrance as complex for Calvin, as in shockingly complex for a Calvin Klein fragrance, or as complex as you'll get from a Calvin Klein fragrance. From the house of Azzaro, Wanted by Night. The first time I smelled this fragrance was in Macy's about 3 months ago, and I was really pleasantly surprised. I went to Macy's to buy either this or 1 Million Lucky by Paco Rabanne. After smelling Lucky, I was so annoyed. I mean, to me, it's a been there, done that type of scent. I feel like I smelled Lucky 1,000 times under a different name. It's really generic to me. It's not a bad smelling fragrance, but if I wanted to wear a dark sweet scent that smells like that, I would probably go with Polo Red Extreme or Ultra Mall or Wanted by Night many more times before Lucky. Wanted by Night to me was just a much more distinctive fragrance, even if it's a little bit trendy. It has a lot more depth than the original, and to me it's a lot more versatile since you can wear it in the exact same places you would wear the original, including nights out. I mean, I feel like this fragrance makes the original smell really boring compared to it. And I would describe this fragrance as spicy, dark, freshy. From the house of Bentley, Bentley for Men, Absolute. That right there. This scent, guys, is a slightly sweeter, more modern version of Gucci pour Homme. The same perfumer, Michel Almirac, made both fragrances, and it's really clear to me that he's not over Gucci discontinuing one of his greatest creations. I mean, it's like he literally snuck the scent in the house of Bentley like nothing. But anyway, Gucci for Homme sells for $250, and that's for used bottles. And I feel like this is a much better alternative, and it's only $50. Bentley for Men Absolute is one of my more personal favorite designer fall options on this list, despite its placement. This could easily be number one though. It's a semi-dry, semi-sweet, spicy, woody scent with resins and great depth for a scent at this price point. To me, it's niche status with a designer price point. And what makes it niche to me is the atypical scent profile and its unapologetic masculinity. This fragrance isn't trying to be liked by everyone, like a lot of releases that come out now. It's daring, and it's trying to be interesting, and I feel like it accomplishes that, especially compared to today's fragrances. I would describe it as smooth, resinous woods. Coming in at number 6 from the house of Boss Bottle Intense Eau de Parfum. This is one of the best mainstream fragrance options for the fall without question, in my opinion. It's so easy to like and wear. It's extremely versatile, and it could be dressed up or down. I prefer this as a work option, but it could be easily worn during casual setups if you want to smell likable. It's the least chemical version of the Boss Bottle flankers, in my opinion. And I feel like this slipped a few notches on this year's list because while I love it, there are some amazing new options that bumped it down. Regardless though, you can't go wrong with this timeless, versatile fragrance. I would easily describe it as easy, versatile, professional. From the house of Berdoues, Masai Mara. Now, Berdoues isn't technically a designer brand, but I'm adding them to this list anyway because frankly, there are fragrances on this list that retail for a lot more money than Masai Mara. Masai Mara is from Berdoues' Grand Cru line, and it's a series of cologne that gets their inspiration from various places all over the world. Masai Mara is a wildlife reserve in Kenya, and the scent uses a fruit called buku, which almost has a dark fruit plum-like quality in this scent. Even though it's a cologne, don't be fooled. Masai gets at least 6 hours to 7 hours on my skin most times, and it's also very soothing with this use of chamomile. Guys, this smells so nice. Guys, sometimes I smell this fragrance and it reminds me of tobacco, and it reminds me of Spice Bomb sometimes. But in my opinion, this is a lot more natural smelling than Spice Bomb and a lot more resinous since there is a lot of labdanum in Masai Mara. It's just a very well done hidden gem that no one talks about. Masai Mara should definitely be talked about. It's a great natural smelling option for under $100 for the fall. And it's a great entry-level niche scent at a designer price if you want something niche, not too popular, but also very likable. I would describe this fragrance as balmy, fruity, natural. From the house of Margiela, Jazz Club. I've loved this scent from the first moment I smelled it over 5 years ago. To me, it's one of my favorites from the replica line. Even though I think there are better compositions in the collection, I just really love the smell of Jazz Club. It has some of my favorite notes in perfumery like rum, vanilla, pink pepper, and tobacco. The combo of notes in this fragrance isn't the most natural smelling, but when it dries down, it really shows its true colors. It's to me the new fall in a bottle fragrance, in my opinion. It's a modern styled oriental, and it's very sexy to smell to many people. Some guys won't understand or appreciate it, but if you give it a chance to settle on skin, you may see why it's also highly loved. I would describe this fragrance as boozy, seductive vanilla. Okay guys, thank you for getting into my top 3 list with me. I highly appreciate it. These next 3 fragrances might surprise a lot of people, but I think they really are amazing. Last year's number 1 has slipped a few notches. I still love this fragrance, but it will take a back seat to this year's competition for sure. From the house of Tom Ford, Noir Extreme. This fragrance gets a lot of crap because it isn't a beast. It gets overlooked or ignored as if there isn't moments in life where smelling noticeably amazing for 3 hours can come in handy. This isn't a strong fragrance, but it's okay because 50 glass 5 ml atomizers exist on eBay and Alibaba Express for about $15. That's right, dudes, $15. And to be honest with you, this fragrance smells so good that it's worth the chore to just decant it and take it with you. It's pretty much a dark custard-like fragrance with mild sweetness, and it's just oozing sexiness. So many guys would not wear this to the club, but if you approached a woman in a club wearing this after she smelled Bleu de Chanel or Paco Rabanne on 10 all night, chances are you might really stand out in a positive way. Atomizers, guys, atomizers. They work. I would describe this fragrance as sexy, dark custard. Eau Masculin, Eau de Parfum Intense by Lolita Lempicka. This fragrance was among the first fragrances which ushered in this new trend where every designer brand is making dark, sweet alternatives to their original bestsellers. While this fragrance consistently flies below the radar, this is without question one of the best options following that dark flanker trend. It's sweet, sexy, spicy, black licorice with a very woody and slightly resinous quality. It comes across very edible without being too gourmand. It's a sexy fragrance again, and there's a versatility in this scent allowing it to be worn casually and formally. It's not too strong, but it's not a quiet scent by any means. This fragrance is insane, guys. I would describe it as spicy black licorice. I mean, guys, this fragrance just missed from being number one that much. That much, guys.
Final.
And number one is a scent that I've had for a couple of months, and I've been wearing this fragrance out. I've been wearing it out, dudes. It's crazy. I find myself constantly reaching for this fragrance, and the funny thing is, when I first smelled it, I thought it smelled like a grandfather fragrance, like something that you would wear from the 80s. And I really had to check myself. I said,
"Self, you're letting a lot of these new releases mess with your head." Nah, don't let these modern day generics fool you.
this next scent doesn't smell like a grandpa. It smells like a man. From the house of Bottega Veneta pour Homme, Parfum. This is amongst some of my favorite fragrances that I purchased this year. It's like the Benjamin Button of my fragrance collection. It starts out really vintage, like an 80s scent, with a heavy dose of fir balsam, which is really green smelling. But then as the scent starts to dry down and those green notes starts to settle, the leather and the tonka bees start to assert itself. And this scent becomes far more modern than that beginning would have you think. But I will warn you guys, if Victus Aqua is your scent of choice, leave this alone for a while and come back to it in a couple of years. Because guys, this is not your average sweet, freshy, shower gel-like scent that we've gotten used to a lot lately. A scent like this may shock a lot of guys under 40, but don't let it, guys. Spray this on and pair it with your best leather jacket, let the dry down happen, and thank me later. Trust me. And it could be worn for almost any reason in the fall that doesn't include the gym. You will for sure stand out as a man among boys when you wear this fragrance out. I'm telling you. I would describe this fragrance as rich, leather, and assertive. So guys, that's my list. I really hope you appreciated it. I really feel like there's something for everyone on this list, whether you like easy crowd pleasers, classy scents, fun fragrances, unique conceptual fragrances, professional options. Pretty much any guy can find multiple options on this list that will kill the fall with ease and have you smelling like a king. That's from real. What are your favorite 4 options? Please comment down below and let me know, guys. Like this video if you feel it deserved it, and of course, subscribe to Simply Put Scents if you haven't. I'd always appreciate your support, my dudes. I'm E, and this is Simply Put Scents. And I'm Simply OUT. Peace.